All right, we're back in the shop again, and we got a new member to the garage over here. We have the Tire Slayer, the 06 GSXR 1000 that I picked up, and I've been working on a few things on it, including the fuel pump. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about this 2022 DRZ400, and the owner did something kind of similar to what I did with the doozy over here. Let's zoom in. They put a power bomb header on a slip-on exhaust that was designed to slip on to the factory header here. And they were smart, and they took my advice, and they went over here to an exhaust shop and had the slip-on modified to be able to go over the top of the FMF header. So everything's looking good there. But as you know, when you do something like that, you need to address jetting for the stock carburetor. Oop, you're not supposed to see that yet. For the stock carburetor, it calls for, with just a slip-on, a 160 and a 170 on the main jet for a full exhaust. This is going to be an upgrade to a full exhaust, and the needle clip position is the same, pilot position is the same, excuse me, the pilot size is the same, and the needle clip is the same. Screws on the mixture relatively the same. You can adjust it if you want to. But I saw this as an opportunity to try out one of the China knockoff FCRs on this. You know, China is good at copying things, and I just couldn't help myself. Here's what I picked up. I had this in stock, and it's the same size boot that works on this bike here. And this is my YZ400F. And I got a couple of extra ones of those boots in stock. A couple of them were some non-authentic ones because, real quick here, the original one, the OEM one, got brittle and it cracked on me, and I was getting some flame out. So I got some authentic one and two non-authentic ones, and that's one of them right there. The other one is on the doozy over there, my 470 stroker. And I got this 3D printed adapter, and I put some black RTV on it to seal the boot. And I also have the OEM E-model boot clip and the OEM nipple for that. And I'm going to put a crush washer on this because it didn't come with one, I don't think. So I'm going to put a little crush washer out of my crush washer kit on it. And I'm going to try this. I have this jetted to the JD FCR settings, so for the full exhaust. So we're going to check it out and see exactly where we're at. Now, I don't, this thing might be a pile of crap, and that's not what this is about, trying to get FCR performance out of $150. Well, if we count these other little parts, we're talking a little over $200. But I wanted to see how good is this copy. Now, I know there's another copy that's got an adapter boot on it already, or an adapter on it, and it's a red looking color. I might try one of those, but if this works, why mess with it? So I want to try it and see how it works out. Meanwhile, I am going to jet the stock carburetor, and I'm going to have it on standby in case. I don't know if we're going to have any issues with the factory cables. I ran my authentic FCR on with the stock carburetor cables, so we're going to try that. it might be a complete failure. I might not be able to do that this time around, but we're going to get him back up and running anyway with the proper jets, and we're going to have some fun with this project. So stick along, stick around. All right, we're back here at the bike, and I got it zoomed in way too far here. Okay, here we go. We're back at the bike, and I've mocked the tank up. I've put the nipple on the intake side to replace the vacuum port for that the other carburetor, the factory carburetor, has on it. And I ran into a little issue, and it took me a little bit of time. If you look here, this is the return cable on the top here, and there was no slot for these threads and this piece for the return line to go into. So I had to cut a little slot out with my, let's see, where's it at? My fake Dremel. Wow, I got a bicycle pump on the floor. I used my little fake Dremel, my super cheap Dremel, and I just cut out a slot in that top piece. That's what I did. And other than that, all I've done is just mocked everything up here. I've set everything in place. I'll go around over here. You know, it's a really big carburetor, so I went around here and I dropped off the exhaust mounting bolts so it could come down. I loosened the subframe on both sides, and I took the subframe connector up top so this whole thing could drop down and give me room. I removed the rectifier and all this. So I've got things kind of mocked up here because I don't know how this thing's going to work. So I'm just setting this up. You know, I've just got everything on here. I don't even know how far this project's going to go, but here we are at this point. I've got it going, and I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to prime this thing up and see if it'll start, and then the fun begins. All right, I'm just going to show this here. I'm priming it. I already had it primed a little bit. This is kind of the little adapter I put on here. It made it for a pretty tight fit, but I was able to do it. And I got my crush washers in here for the little tit that goes on the vacuum piece. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the choke here. Let's see what it does. Bear with me here. This still has the clutch safety switch. Give it a little pump. Well, that's encouraging. Give it a little pump again. Idle it up just a little bit. We're getting somewhere. Okay, it's the next day, and I don't remember where I left off, but I had the engine running, and I'm kind of impressed. I've got everything put back together here, and I've made a few little tweaks to the idle speed and a few things here, and I'm here to kind of test it out. I'm not really sure what to expect, so we're going to see. We're just going to talk about it here. That was a pretty easy first gear wheelie. It's going to take me a second to get used to the feel of this bike. because it's got the factory size rear tire. It's not backfiring a whole bunch, and this has got a full exhaust, so let's see here. Well, that wasn't overly impressive. Again, I'm used to my bike that's got a ton more power and cams and a big bore, higher compression, and you know, we may need to work on timing on the accelerator pump. Sounds like I need to change. I got some adjustment to do on the throttle cable here. Now I will have to say, I did not like the needle that was in this. Yeah, this throttle cable needs a little of adjustment. Yeah, that definitely the on-off on the throttle cable is going to need some adjustment. That's really annoying for me. But again, we're testing this out. I think this is overall an upgrade here. Yeah, I think it's a pretty big adjustment here, upgrade here. And I'm just I'm not trying to do any crazy wheelies or anything on this. So I've got a really loose throttle cable. I don't know about throttle cable, it's the engagement. I had to adjust it quite a little bit so the play would be nice. I'm used to that feel of the authentic FCR 39. The other thing that I'm paying attention to is how it's coming off of idle here. Or coming to idle. Yeah, the maintenance throttle with this on-off it's to be desired. I need to get in there and adjust it. What I'm going to finish this test with you see what I'm talking about? It loosened up that much. But I'm going to finish this test with a wide open pool closer to my house. I might even put that that needle that I didn't like. I might even put that needle that I didn't like back in there. I don't like really changing things all at once, but it's not. That may just be the off-on. It's not consistent though. see if I can get this, throttle cable adjusted, and I'm gonna read this plug and see if we're running lean or rich. I wanna at least have that much information on me, but you know, the primary on this may be the it may just be the throttle cable here, but it may be something between the needle. So I'm going to put that factory needle back in here, I think, but that won't affect where we're at for wide open throttle. So we'll make that adjustment and then we'll check back with you. All right, we're back here with the 22 DRZ here, and this is after the ride video. Whoa, got stuff falling down. And what was driving me crazy out there was this throttle play, and I got that addressed here. I've tightened things down. I've gotten underneath here and read our plug. What I have noticed here is afterwards I had a little drip out of the overflow of the carburetor. This might end up being an alarm and it might not, because you got to understand, I killed this bike. I pulled the clutch in after about a 8-second wide open throttle pull to establish a full load, and so I could get a read on this. And I'm thinking, because I killed it after pulling in the clutch, it might have overfilled the bowl just a little bit. I don't know. We may need to get into this carb and look at the float height. I'm not sure. But this is a part of the process. I think we have a good main jet in. The needle that I have in here, I might need to make an adjustment on that. I wasn't able to evaluate this because of our throttle slack that I had. So again, part of the process, and it's my process. You're along for the ride with me. So I'm gonna go for a ride now and we'll see what happens. Okay, I wanted to show this first. This is the needle that actually went in this carburetor. I took a little bit of a gamble and set up a aftermarket needle in it that came with a FCR kit. Long story short, it had a little bit, the one I put in there, oh, it's not going to focus on me now. This needle, well, just to give you some perspective, there it is a little bit flatter than some other needles. And the taper of that cone makes a difference how much fuel comes in, how fast. The height of the clips on this, you clip it down low, it's going to set very high in that main jet. The farther up, so the farther down, it's going to set higher in that main jet, meaning the fuel will come on sooner when you squeeze the throttle. And the lower you want it to set in there, the higher you put on these clips. There's just a little, like a circlip that goes on here, and it just rests a little bit deeper at its start point. So if there's a little gap or a hiccup, you move it a little higher or a little lower on the clip, and you compare results. On a dyno, you could tell quickly, but on the butt dyno, that's just how you have to know your bike and have some seat time. But I think that my preliminary on this carburetor, and I've got probably about $200 in this project, when a FCR, a brand new one with all the crap that you got to have, what, $900, maybe a little bit more by the time you pay tacks and everything, and get any of the other adapters that they don't include that they say they include. Not saying names. But I think this is a viable upgrade. I'm going to have the owner ride this bike. I don't know if I'm going to equip this yet. I want him to see how it is in a non-polished form and see how much of a difference it is to him. Because I'm used to riding a big bore stroker. So I'm used to, and it has higher compression. So I'm used to quite a bit more bike to start with. So I don't think it's a fair assessment of what I'm giving it, but I think it is improved. Let's see how this goes from here. Okay, we're back at the bike. This is probably day 2 of tuning and adjusting. The owner of the bike and myself, in my lunch break the last 2 days, have gotten together and rode these bikes, or my bike and his bike, and we did a few things. One thing is I had adjusted the float height because, again, this is pretty much a clone of the FCR, and with that being said, the float height needs to be 9 millimeters. There wasn't 9 millimeters worth of float height. So the greater your number of what your float height is, it means the lesser the pool of fuel that is in the bowl. So the closer to no float height means that's going to fill this basin up more and more and more. A couple things that means. Your jets are meant to be immersed in a set amount of fuel. And the other thing is, when you're rocking and rolling and riding the bike around, jostling it, you're liable to overflow it. Or if you're vertical and then you go and set it on a side stand, it could do a little bit of overflowing at that point. So, and we were having a little bit of that. So I uninstalled this carburetor, and then I came back with those settings. Now, I know I did a boo-boo and I didn't check the float height right out of the gate. And that's what I'm going to do on the next one of these I install. But I would argue that this is 90 to 95% of the carburetor that the actual genuine Keihin is. What's next is, what is its longevity going to be? So that's where we're at right now. And I'm going to show you some riding footage with the owner of this bike and myself. And I'm probably going to be on his bike, this bike, doing wheelies. And he's going to be on my bike being scared as crap, because I told him, if you roll into the throttle hard and you don't check it, it will flip over in first or second gear. And so we kind of putted around, but not pictured. I did take his bike for a spin yesterday, and he was on my bike and he was watching me in my rear view mirror on my bike, and I was doing second gear, non-clutch up, just rolling off and rolling on to the throttle, and hitting that accelerator pump, which I also tested on this while the carburetor was uninstalled. So I mean, you about can't beat this. Now we're going to test the longevity. Enjoy this riding footage, and I hope you give it a try. This is going to be something that you're going to have to make some modifications to make it work, and you got to know what you're doing. But you can save someone a bunch of money by doing that, like I have. So here we go. Okay, we're back. We're back over here on Casino Motorsports Park, and I'm over here with Derek. He's who I've been working on his DRZ with the FCR knockoff carburetor.
and we're just out here kind of getting our feeling of it. And what we're doing is we are kind of dialing it in and getting a feel for it. So we've done some tuning, we've done some research, and we're just kind of feeling them out. And he's just out here. If you see him in my rear view, he's over here kind of making some laps and getting some feel for it. And he's noticing that the power is there. The throttle response is there. We did a little bit of a float height adjustment, and I think that's going to make the difference on our performance. And he's you can see he's over here getting the feel of it. He's out here feeling that throttle response. And so there's something to be said about that. So he's noticed that it's not as sluggish as before. Yeah, see, he's getting a little wheelie in there. Let's see what he's doing here. Oh, you want me to? Okay. He's gonna tame my beast. What do you think so far? Yeah? Okay. This should be interesting. Now, I've rode this some, and he's rode mine a little bit. Go ahead, bud. Let's see if I can surprise him a little bit. That was kind of weak. Now, I will have to say that we do have... He may not like me riding his bike like that. You can go back this way. Yeah, it's a little bit sluggish today because of our humidity. So we're just kind of tooling around. He's feeling it a little bit. So I'm just kind of feel here. This is oh yeah, see, he's feeling it. He's respecting it. Let's see. I better get off of his bike. I'm having too much fun. That was way up there, huh? See, I gotta respect this one a little less. Here's first gear. Yeah, it's definitely there. So I'm just rambling here, wheeling the piss out of his bike. You gonna do one? Let's see. I better get off of it. All right, so it's got the balls. Let's see. Okay, well that's enough fun for now. So I can show you that this thing has got the balls. Okay, I better get off of this thing. All right, that concludes this video. Make sure and like and give us a good thumbs up, right, buddy? What do you think about that? Yeah, you like that? You got to respect it, don't you? Hey, we'll see you next time. That's the end of this one. He's happy.
Recording.
Come on. You. Come on. One more. One more. Second gear. Come on. Now you do it. It's time to go. It's time to go.